In the world of twisted riddles,
I'm driving so fast because I'm so excited.
Oh,
That's a fabulous one.
I have just been told that they have found something.
it's an entrance. We can see an entrance.
from asking why was a king banished to an unworthy tomb,
So in a way, the opening of the tomb of Tutankhamun is a kind of a resurrection.
and how a woman carried a child for centuries? Although they are frozen in time, but they are the unthinkable mysteries from the magnificent world you have not seen.
When we opened up the coffin, it was a remarkable occasion because inside the coffin, an old man was lying almost like he was in sleep.
So hold on, because you are about to dive in the riddles that are still alive. Tutankhamun Tomb Mystery. The 16th pharaoh of the Egyptian dynasty, Tutankhamun, who defied his father, restored faith in the supremacy of Egyptian gods, and fought the massive rebellions to save the monarchy, but only to be banished from the Valley of Gods and buried in an unworthy tomb. So why? What really happened, which wrote the most unbelievable tragedies? To solve this mystery, its burial chamber is the key, and you never know because it may even lead to new horizons. Tutankhamun, who alone battled against the underworld forces of darkness and saved the sun and the earth from annihilation. This was a feat that deserved to have a lavish burial. But on the contrary, driven by ambition, conspiring him away from the limelight, fearing his legacy of success, he decided to do the worst. He buried him far from the kingdom of kings, in a tomb he never deserved. Shrunken heads. This is the remains of the world's most insane tradition ever lived in history. Amongst the tributaries of the Amazon River in the remote jungles of Ecuador, there lives the most mysterious clan who mastered the macabre art of head shrinking. This practice, despite being banned for more than 60 years, still exists to tell us the most unbelievable story of Shuars. Felipe is the head of the Federation, and today he tells us about this rare tradition.
La Santa para nosotros los Shuar primero es identidad, que significaba triunfo, poder.
But these were not just the trophies of war, but a practical meaning as well.
La práctica de hacer la Santa era una manera de a la familia. Ese era el beneficio que traía.
Each shrunken head shares the same distinctive characteristics: charcoal darkened skin, sealed eyes and mouth. This careful and deliberate closure believed to stop their spirits from escaping. This is the story of most unique and rare tradition that ever existed. Guantanamo, the Calora mummies. Guanajuato, Mexico, there is a museum filled with mummies. More than 117 bodies home this place, and with each one of them stuck in time, it resonates unsaid horrors. But where have they all come from? What's their story? The answer is this small bacteria. During the 19th century, calora spread worldwide in no time, making millions vulnerable. And with no medical cure, it was unstoppable. Watch these astounding sketches and pictures, resonating with the massive grim impact they had done to society. Today, these bodies from the past are a testament to the insane struggle they bore. To know more about the experience of visiting this place, there is no better person than Paloma to ask. And she says,
They come seeking that intimate experience, that mystical encounter with death. It's important for people not to fear death, but rather consider it a natural phenomenon, an inevitable transition in their existence, because they will ultimately face it.
Servants of Serpent. The struggle is about to bear fruit. And finally, after 2.5 centuries, but before the true face of an ancient Egyptian priest is revealed, the discovery took the most unexpected turns.
Oh my God. There is something quite mind-blowing. I might be wrong, but I would be very surprised if there is no more surprises in this complex.
In this ancient cemetery of Saqqara, Dr. Ramadan is on mission to dig into its secrets.
When I started archaeology, I never thought I would be discovering something on that magnitude.
But that is never going to be easy.
This is when Egypt had had a huge renaissance in religion and burial ideas. So this find is really a snapshot in time and crucial to our understanding of mummification.
When they mined further, they found a limestone grave with scriptures written on it.
Text is so valuable for every archaeologist. It is that joy to be able to read the minds of the ancients.
And inside, there lies the mummy for the past 2,600 years. These are the remains of a rich priest.
This is unbelievable. Not as pristine as you would see it in museums, but this is a mummy that carries the dust and aging of 2,600 years.
Moments later, they find another mummy guarded with a priceless silver gilded mask. But just like before, there is a serpent sign on its coffin. With this discovery,
all these months I'm talking about me put as a man, and all of a sudden I have a mummy with a hand on arm position that is for a woman.
Dr. Ramadan can decipher the enigma.
Our mission here, what we're doing is looking for information and rewriting the story of every individual we discover here. This is for us a lifelong research project.
Ramses II's son. Among 8 sons of the legendary Ramses II, their remains are one of its sons. As it lies there with the body intact and the form recognizable, it carries unbelievable mysteries from 3,000 years ago. On the border of ancient Nubia, this huge monument and its walls store the tales of its military brilliance, helping it to build his empire. According to research, around 1300 BC, the Egyptians fought the largest chariot battle against their arch-rivals, the Hittites. And in that battle, even though the Ramses II grabbed the victory as a massacre, he also lost as one of his sons lost the battle of his life. Archaeologists argue that this mummy is the body of the same boy he lost in the field. Golden Monk.
Did you know they found there was a Buddha statue once, that it was actually a mummified Buddha that they had covered with a statue? They did an x-ray on this thing, and inside of it is like an actual Buddha guy, like an actual yogi who was in a lotus position, that they did the statue around him.
Well, Joe Rogan was almost correct. It is true that they found this golden monk statue, but honestly, its true name is Quizon Zhang. Currently, the statue is displayed at the Natural History Museum, Budapest. But the most shocking thing about this statue is it has some unbelievable mysteries. It's 1,000 years old. Oh yes, fascinating. But did you know that this Buddhist monk from a special meditation school self-mummified himself into this golden body? And when they did the x-rays, they found out that it still has preserved bones and intact organs, which was beyond anyone's beliefs. The researchers couldn't carve this open, so ultimately it was decided to not do much with it. Otherwise, you never know, he might just still be alive. Seti I. A body that literally transcended through time and existed so quietly that it became a tale of mystery. An unbelievable feat for someone 3,000 years old, right? But the real riddle is, how could he retain his youthful good looks? What's the secret? Looking for answers, what researchers found, it was just beyond anyone's imagination.
I always looked at his mummy and I said, this is no mummy, this is a sleeping beauty.
Seti I, who once wore the golden nemes, he battled, conquered, and lived magnificently. But in 1817, German anthropologist Emil Brugsch, after finding remains, opened the gates of an even bigger enigma. Today, Sahar Salim, the professor of radiology is trying to unlock the secrets of Seti's sprightly good looks. She said,
I always looked at his mummy and I said, what was his secret?
But surprisingly, what she found out in her research was even more shocking.
The ancient Egyptians were very efficient as plastic surgeons.
Undoubtedly, Seti still rules this world with its insane, enigmatic existence. Cleopatra. If any woman lived to rule the empire so majestically, it was Cleopatra.
Cleopatra is one of the most powerful women ever to come out of the ancient Mediterranean world. She ruled Egypt for 21 years, from 51 to 30 BC.
Historians record that a venomous serpent took her life, but the mystery still ensues, for no one knows what happens once she passes. In the world of enigma, with the least limited information available, this gives birth to an incredible mystery which lives to date.
Early historians tell us the method of Cleopatra's death is poison. No one knows what happens to her after she dies or where she's buried.
Dr. Andrew makes the best guess.
Cleopatra has a mausoleum and tomb under construction in her palace when she dies.
But now the question is, where is her tomb? Then, in 2014, Kathleen Martinez started exploring the temple Topsaris Magnus, and she found a temple with 16 burial chambers. And there, they found 2 mummies. According to theories, there is a high possibility that one of them is Cleopatra. Will this mystery ever be solved? No one knows! Mummy in Peru. These remnants of the past, when they travel an unbelievable 3,000 years, they are bound to make headlines all over. In Peru, Juca, home to many ancient temples, unearthed the most fascinating discoveries of all time. One by one, as they moved in, it began to reveal that these remnants may just look ordinary, but in actuality, these are one of the major advances to finally know more about the pre-Hispanic man. With their DNA traces, researchers finally discovered that these bones belong to one of the rare cultures of the time, the Mencas, hence revealing a huge amount of information about the man who once walked these terrains, but is now lost in time. Kran Man. You may never know his real name, but archaeologists call him the Kran Man. Found in Ireland, he walked these pastures 1,200 years before the birth of Christ. But the most interesting thing is,
when we look closer at the hands of this individual, we can see that his fingernails are really very well trimmed, they're manicured, and they're clean. There's no way that this person has been working doing heavy manual work.
Which means only one thing. Unlike his fellow beings who worked hard to live, he belonged to a higher social status of the society, maybe a priest or perhaps a chieftain. But to solve this mystery, when they investigated further, they found leather wearing. And that indicates perhaps he was a religious leader known as Druids. So that leaves only one mystery: a tall, strong, and high status. How he passed away. Investigators still struggle to find all the answers, but things to be true, he survived more than he could ever imagine. Princess of Zahid. Amid the world's second largest desert, China, everyone was shocked when in June 1994, this Sahara vomited the most surprising discoveries of the world. A mummy 4,000 years old. But what's more astonishing is, it does not look like the body of a Chinese. So who is this lady? Despite the Taklamakan Desert being the most inhabitable place on Earth, surprisingly, archaeologists in the past few decades have discovered mysterious tombs dating back to 1,800 years before Christ.
The climate in the Taklamakan Desert is hypoarid, so extremely dry. There's also a high salinity. And these two factors, the dryness of the climate and the salinity of the soil, do preserve the mummy soul.
But after DNA readings and years of research, These scientists have concluded this is a shock for the Chinese, as they were not the only ones inhabiting the place.
In these tombs interred were mostly Caucasian-looking people. They were not Chinese, they were not Uyghurs, they were not Turkic. And there were a lot of very specific characteristics you don't find on any other place.
Mummified bishop, a body that survived the unyielding expanses of time and still managed to retain its identity even after about 4 centuries.
When we opened up the coffin, it was a remarkable occasion because inside the coffin, an old man was lying almost like he was in sleep.
Here is Mr. Vincent, once a bishop who massively served its people in many ways.
He was also a skilled scientist, an architect. He conducted natural science experiments, so he was a Renaissance man in its purest sense.
But what's more surprising is it is present in an unbelievably preserved state. So much so that even Kirsten, the museum director, is amazed.
It's very, very rare to find bodies from the 16th, 17th century that you can still recognize.
Watch this face, because he was a revolutionary who almost changed the fate of millions. In 16th century Sweden, he convinced the royalty to make a university in this part of the globe. And today, his dream is actualized in one of the most prestigious universities in the world, Lund University, Sweden. Sleeping Italian beauty. Initially, priests would lay the deceased on shelves and allow them to drip until they were completely depleted of bodily fluids. A full year later, the dried-out corpse would be rinsed with vinegar before being redressed in their best attire and sent to their proper room to stand for eternity. One of the most recent to be interred was Rosalia Lombardo, only 2 years old when she was embalmed in 1920. The embalming procedure has kept Rosalia looking so well preserved that she has been dubbed Sleeping Beauty. The embalming procedure, which was lost for decades, consisted of formalin to kill bacteria, alcohol to dry the body, glycerin to keep her from over-drying, salicylic acid to kill fungi, and the most important ingredient, zinc salts to give the body rigidity. Sacrifice ritual in Peru.
A grim discovery in Peru. This might be a little hard to hear. National Geographic reports a mass grave in northern Peru is the largest mass sacrifice of children in the world.
The news took the whole media on fire. Anyone who heard the news faced an unexplainable sense of non-peril, not knowing how to react. But setting aside the moral side to it, this discovery was also a major archaeological and historical advance, revealing engraved secrets of human life between the men of 10th and 15th century Europe. Hear this certified explorer for what it has to say.
The sacrifice must have been a societal response by the Chimu to counteract negative effects of nature, of climate, that affected its political, economic, and maybe its ideology system.
That's true, just like Khans from India. Presenting offerings to gain some favor from their gods was not that uncommon. These underage children may have lost their lives to a superstitious cause, but their remains survived to tell us their grisly story. The Egyptian Queen. Inside this 11-meter deep dugout, there lies the untouched secrets of the royal past, and Dr. Hawass is the first one to witness it.
I came here about 3 days ago, and I opened one coffin and I saw the sealed limestone sarcophagus. I could not sleep, but thinking about it all the time.
This huge excavation site has discovered something truly valuable. Beneath the surface for more than 2.5 centuries, this treasure of the past lay resting, beautifully saved and preserved. Hear the project lead as he expresses the unsaid experience.
When you open something like, it's so exciting that you have to do it by yourself to feel that.
But even after the discovery, this mummy has so many unrevealed mysteries.
We are going to take this mummy and put it under the X-ray scan machine because sometimes could be 100 pieces of gold inside, and this can help the deceased to go safely to the afterlife.
Finally, he reveals the shocking truth, which drastically changes everything we know about the Egyptian civilization.
The most important thing that we found a temple near a pyramid of a queen. Her name was Nit. She was the wife of the king Teti.
Yes, that is true. This is the remains of a queen who once ruled these lands, but today she is just a messenger from the past, telling the magnificent tale. Cajamarquilla mummy. Imagine witnessing a mummy who survived the harsh trials of hundreds of years, and that too without any protective sarcophagus. In December 2021, 15 miles east of Lima on a working site, archaeologists unearthed a shocking discovery when a man aged 18 to 22 years old was found buried under a 3-meter deep burial chamber. They named it the Mummy of Cajamarquilla. But what really surprised the scientists was it survived about 800 years without any protection, tightly bound in ropes, dropped in a dug hole, clearly suggesting an unfortunate end. Even today, researchers are unsure of its secret. So much so, the archaeologist Peter van Dalen Luna had to state this find as peculiar and unique. 4,000-year-old mummy.
Finally tonight, archaeologists in Egypt made a groundbreaking discovery this week under ancient sands.
A mummy more than 1,000 years older than King Tut was uncovered in Egypt, and that came with the most important find by Dr. Zahid Hawass.
What could be inside the sarcophagus? A beautiful mummy of a man, completely covered layers of gold.
With the exploration of this 4,000-year-old hidden tomb, the archaeologists wouldn't have imagined what comes with it. With hundreds of important stones and scriptures, they would be one of the oldest mummies in the world. Watch these images. These are the scenes of the most significant remains. While they opened the sarcophagus, along with the remains, they found something extraordinary. The body was laced with gold. Archaeologists acclaimed that despite it being royalty, but still, this mummy still stood at a higher social status in ancient Egypt, making it the oldest no-royal mummified person discovered ever in Egypt. Mummy 1770. Witness this historic moment in June 1975 at the University of Manchester, when a mummy was subject to radiological survey. Among tens of mummies, one of them was selected for archaeological study, the 13-year-old human mummy, known as 1770. This was the first time in Britain when, through X-rays and close-ups, the idea of examining bodies to get historical details was initiated. At that time, this sparked a huge interest in the people of the United Kingdom. Here, Rosalie David explains.
There was a huge amount of interest at the time of the autopsy because remember, nothing like this had happened in Britain for 70 odd years. Huge amount of interest in local newspapers and national newspapers.
It was definitely a feat worth remembering. 2,500-year-old Pata Sheriff. Estimated to be nearly 2,500 years old, Pata Sheriff is one of the first mummies to be brought into North America, a gift to Massachusetts General Hospital in 1823 to raise funds for the services.
He decided to send a mummy to Boston as a gift in gratitude to raise money for the hospital.
Honestly, it's quite majestic, especially when you realize how precious this gift is. After living in the 7th century, Thebes, this mummy has found its way to America as a gift, telling the most unbelievable tales of its time. And today, it is now resting in the care of these incredible people.
This mummy was sent here in 1823. This was the very first Egyptian mummy to come into North America, complete mummy and coffin.
Watch this footage as this mummy is being taken out from its coffin for spring cleaning to make sure that it preserves and intact its form for many, many years to come. Pompei mummies. Inside these bulk houses, it stores the tale of
on the ancient beach of Herculaneum, you can see just the tragedy that occurred in 79 AD eruption here.
More than 300 human remains, each one of them telling the story of horrors.
Stands of these victims tell us that they died very quick, just in a fraction of a second.
Imagine witnessing a wild volcano eruption. It's so feral that behind its 27-mile column, the sky is turned into damnation. Pompei was once a blossoming town, but 2 centuries ago, in 79 AD, it faced the most unbelievable calamity. When this towering colossus, Mount Vesuvius, erupted, the most dangerous volcanoes on the planet ever. In no time, it buried both Pompei and Herculaneum beneath mounds of ash. So much so, for centuries, archaeologists have been trying to unearth its magnificence. But it was only when they reached the beach that revealed the grim secret. These remains may not move, but they are the messengers of the past. The Lost Maiden. In 1999, high above the jagged peaks of South America, explorers unknowingly portaled to the world's highest tomb on Earth, and there they found something, which gave them a new beginning towards the past. No one knew that this hike would meet the most dramatic turn, and instantaneously awe engulfed them. But the biggest surprise came when they removed her wrappings. So when and how did she pass away? From careful testing, archaeologists revealed her to be over 500 years old, proving her to be a part of a sacrificial ritual. With this, it became clear that this girl is an important human link to a lost civilization. This is the one and only Inca Maiden. Pirate Mummy. Watch this couple of centuries old, a pirate mummy in Sicily, Palmyra. With a body preserved, this is the relic of the past. And just look how well dressed it is. And that's not all, because it is surrounded by some other priest mummies as well. For some, this may not be the most respectful way of displaying even the museum artifact, as they are humans. But one thing should be commendable from a scientific point of view, because all of them look beautifully preserved. This is the renowned Church of Italy, and here the sanction of dead and living trespass. The Screaming Mummy. For many years, this mummy has been known as the Screaming Man, but what modern forensics revealed, it literally changed everything. Researchers found that this man was poisoned, but this was no casual information because things took even more of a dramatic turn when the palace of Ramses III revealed important information.
This is the actual court transcripts of trials of a treasonous conspiracy against the pharaoh, Ramses III.
This connected the dots, and not only that, because according to scriptures, Ramses III defied any protective measures or spells that would allow him to reach another world. And this made it even more conclusive because its coffin had none other. Perhaps the long mystery is solved, and this once anonymous mummy turned out to be the son of the powerful Ramses. Otzi. These are the perfectly preserved remains of a man who walked modern-day Italy, born 3,000 years before Christ. Meet this team of scientists who are on a journey to explore the site where Otzi was discovered. Just there on the mountain, 10,000 above sea level, travelers found the mysterious frozen and mummified body, but they didn't know what they had found, as they had uncovered one of the biggest assets of the human past. This took the media fire, because before the discovery, no one really believed that the Alps surrounded this area. Today, we know a lot more about humans than ever, thanks to Otzi. 2,500-year-old mummy. Just watch how intact it looks. But, question stands, who is this mummy? And how did they find out? On April 1st, 2011, in Nam Dinh province, building workers without knowing made a national discovery. They found worm-eaten coffins, but the last one had the real mummy in it. The experts planned excavation for straight 5 months, and finally, Dr. Nguyen on September 17th finalized the process by opening the hard wooden cover. Today, Nam Dinh Museum, Vietnam is the official site for this mummy. Oldest discovery in South America. During the construction work among these green pastures, what Japanese and Peruvian archaeologists found, none of them was ever expecting this. It's the oldest tomb ever found in South America, and when they dug in, they found remains as old as 5,000 years old. It is believed that this burial chamber belonged to a 35-year-old priest with much gold. This discovery is proof of strong Catholic presence in this part of the world. Even in the time when here animals reside more than humans, researchers say that this is the oldest artifact from the Andean civilization. making it a massive archaeologist feat as it boosts scientists' understanding of the past. 8 years from Rome. These walls of the museum in Italy preserve the most unbelievable monument, the Roman Grotto Rossa mummy, only the second ever in Europe to survive from the times of Rome. On Wednesday morning, February 1964, during the excavation work for a building at the Via Cassia, the workers found a hidden tomb, and there they found invaluable remains of the past. A mummy of 8 years old, surviving thousands of years and finally unveiling the many hidden mysteries. The Grotto Rossa is the only second ever to have been discovered in Rome. According to Stefano in Fescera, a 14th century historian, the first Roman mummy was found in 1485, but Pope Innocent VIII was afraid of an outburst of popular fanaticism, and hence ordered it to be reburied at a secret location, making it lost in time. But with the discovery of Grotto Rossa, today researchers like him can finally dig into history with more accuracy. Vietnam discovery. The most despairing sight is when you see a 3,000-year-old relic of the past, a highborn buried with honor, being opened in a rabble. In Vietnam, something unbelievably tragic was recorded when a mob gathered around a historic find, and what happens next was nothing less than disturbing. They opened the sarcophagus all out in public and then retrieved the mummy by using a wooden pillar. And now, the one that should have been resting is publicly revealed. What's more tragic is that this sealed burial could have contained dangerous viruses, but all of them behaved incautiously and dealt with it most irresponsibly. It's time for today's open discussion. In the year 1990, University of the Warsaw received a 2,000-year-old body, and they instantly overjoyed by its arrival, thinking it was the body of a priest. But soon, when they examined, they found out that this is the body of a woman. This made them disappointed, but soon this dismay was turned into excitement because when they ran an autopsy, they found out it was a woman with a baby inside, making her the first ever mummy bearing a child inside.
Jest mumią kobiety w wieku między 20 a 30 lat.
With scans revealing the existence of a fetus, it surprised archaeologists all over the world because when bodies were mummified, they took out all the organs. But she?
Usuwali z wnętrza zmarłego organy wewnętrzne i je mumifikowali. Od czasów XXI dynastii były one z powrotem po mumifikacji wkładane do wnętrza mumii. Zostawiono na miejscu, w ogóle nie tykając go.
She is special because this is the story of a 200-century-year-old mother who still bears her child within her. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.